Hello again, wrestling fans. It's the ROB. Hashtag the real Bobby Munson coming at you with a brand new audio podcast recording. It is Wednesday, June 21st, 2017, and we are a day removed from SmackDown Live, or the fallout of Money in the Bank. And yes, folks, I managed to suffer through SmackDown Live. I am not one that's going to get on here and often criticize things in professional wrestling. So I am going to talk about a lot of positives out of SmackDown Live. I know a lot of you out there are huge on SmackDown Live, and since they did this brand split currently here, I definitely was leaning on the side of SmackDown Live most weeks. It just seemed like it was better. It was building new stars. And not to say they're not building new stars, they are still trying to do that. It is still that type of thing. But man, just lately, it's kind of almost felt a little bit weak. Like, almost like they're trying to do too much of the same thing. They only have a 2 hour program, yet they've done a lot more of spending time doing these in ring segments, these talking in ring segments that used to drag Raw down and stuff like that. And Raw is kind of stepping away from that. Not saying they don't happen on Raw, but I mean, they seem to be moving along a little bit quicker, and somebody usually comes down and breaks up the monotony of it a little bit faster, kind of thing. So, with that being said, let's get started on what went down last night. So, start the night off with Carmella and James Ellsworth coming out to address the WWE Universe regarding the controversy over the win at Money in the Bank, where Ellsworth was the one to pull down the case and hand it to Carmella. When this actually happened, I predicted this was the way that this was going to go, and I knew the world was going to be in an uproar. Oh, wow, a guy pulled down the case. She needs a man to do this. You guys, this is a goddamn TV show. Like, seriously, this is like all you whiners getting sad when Glenn's eye got knocked out the back of his head by Negan on The Walking Dead. It's a TV show. Suck it up, princess. It's like, this is the way they build people. This is the way they build character. You want new, you want different, yet when they give you new and different, you whine and bitch about it anyway. So what do you expect them to do? Anyway, glad these two came out to address a few things, which really made me happy. This was one of the best promos I think that Carmella herself has actually done. And I'm glad that she brought up the fact that Kane had assisted Seth Rollins to win the Money in the Bank previously, and that Bray Wyatt came in and cost Roman Reigns the Money in the Bank in 2015. Two clear observations of interference during the Money in the Bank. Whether you agree about the idea of a guy doing it, or a guy being the one to climb the ladder, or somebody climbing the actual ladder and doing it, there was never a rule stating they could not do this. So why does it need to be controversial? I mean, if you're upset about it, great, then WWE's done their damn job, which is fantastic. That's the whole point. But you whining, sniveling babies out there, you keep getting on the Twitter and getting on everything, cry, 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 until they go and try to back out of their decision making and stuff like that, and then you whine at them for not sticking to the longevity of their promos and their written storylines and stuff like that. Like, Jesus Christ, no wonder it's a scramble. Well, you sniveling babies out there threatening to cancel the network or not watch the shows and stuff like that because you didn't get things your way. Oh, boo-hoo, this person didn't get the ladder match win. Oh, boo-hoo, this person. Guess what, you guys? They're all going to have their opportunities at some point or another. Give it time. There is so many of you that don't understand. Like, go back on some classic wrestling. Go back to the 1980s or the early 1990s, and check out some of these people who were in it back then. People who didn't get necessarily title opportunities. They weren't handed freaking briefcases to build new stars. It was a lot different landscape. Sometimes it took many, many years before said superstars ever made it to the top of the mountain. I mean, you know how many years and countless matches guys like Bret Hart had to go through before he ever made it to the World Championship? Just keep that in mind next time you're thinking about going online and whining about what WWE's chosen to do. They're trying to make things work. Give them an opportunity. Eventually, it's all going to click. So, Anyways, so they make their public address stating that everyone should stop their crying. She's missed Money in the Bank. Suck it up, and I couldn't agree more. Well done, Carmella. Well done, Ellsworth. Perfect job. So yeah, so I'm not even going to get into the whole fact that the most of the airtime tonight was the women coming up to Daniel Bryan and cry, cry, cry. This is not fair. Cry, cry, cry. This is not fair. You know, I am the biggest fan of Charlotte. Like Shauna and I, we both watch, and Charlotte is one of our absolute favorites. But to see them making her go back and cry about things not being fair, hello, is this not the same Charlotte that used to use Dana Brooke to kind of unfairly win her matches and stuff like that? So you got to think about storyline continuity here, you guys. Like, it makes no sense. Just because Charlotte switched shows, that all of a sudden she's against somebody using assistants to win a match like that. Oh, well, they took away from a historical moment. Oh, get over it already. Big deal. Like, it is what it is. That's what it came down to. This, it'd be a whole different ball game if this was, two women headlining WrestleMania for the first time ever, and they had a guy come out and cost someone the match or something like that. It would still work. Don't get me wrong. It'd be a little bit more disheartening than, James Ellsworth climbing the ladder in the Money in the Bank match. Like, I'm sorry, you guys. That really just isn't something that strikes me as necessarily that terrible, and it doesn't strike me as something that we need to spend almost a full 2 freaking hours of television time on worrying about. God. Anyways, moving on from there, let's talk about some of the actual matches that happened. Yeah, there was actually wrestling on SmackDown, believe it or not, last night. Go figure that one out. We had a match between Big E and Jimmy Uso. So, yes, great match as far as I'm concerned. Lots of great back and forth. Love the spot when Jimmy threw the kick to the outside of the ring, hitting Kofi and everything. So yeah, it was a good one-on-one match. I imagine we're going to continue to see a little bit more of this. This is kind of the way to keep a tag team feud going really well. So I'd imagine next week we're probably going to see Jey Uso versus Kofi or Jey Uso versus Xavier. We're going to see variations of this going on until this feud is all wrapped up, said and done. So yeah, good way to keep it going. Big E picking up a win there. We also had a match with Shinsuke Nakamura taking off on Dolph Ziggler. First time on SmackDown Live. Second time these two have locked up inside the squared circle. A little bit of a slow start on this particular match, but not that that's a bad thing either. I like a slow burn and stuff. I don't like when everything comes straight out of the gate and it's hit. Like gets a little redundant when everybody is doing that week after week. So it was nice to see these two build it and use a little bit more psychology. And then when it really started to get going, it got good. Really good. You know what? In fact, I'm going to go as far as saying that this match was actually slightly better than their previous one. Shinsuke, of course, picking up the win again here tonight, but Dolph not looking bad in defeat. Very, very good match between the two of them, especially if they're making Shinsuke as strong as he is. Everyone complains, Dolph eating all these losses and stuff like that, Guys, I consider Dolph Ziggler, he's almost like a modern day Mr. Perfect Kurt Hennig type. Always involved, always on the television, a great Intercontinental Champion, stuff like that, great at selling, got the look, but Mr. Perfect was never, putting big wins week after week over, the most protected guys in the company. You wouldn't see Mr. Perfect going out there and beating, the Ultimate Warrior and Hulk Hogan and Randy Savage all the time and stuff like that. But, he got known for putting on superb matches. And that's what Dolph Ziggler does. He puts on great matches. He's got the right look. This guy has had his opportunities too, keep in mind, you guys. Like, Dolph Ziggler has been the world champion twice. He has been multi-time Intercontinental Champion as well too. Like, this guy has held a lot of titles within the landscape of WWE. He has done some great things. And the fact that he is now there helping other guys get over is just an absolute credit to the man and to his fantastic work. So, I applaud Dolph Ziggler because it's not always about having to be the guy that goes out there and wins every damn match. That's not what wrestling is all about. You don't have to win it all to be a worthwhile character in the WWE. And that's why Dolph Ziggler is fantastic. He's going out there and he's helping these new guys get built up. He's trying to help WWE build new stars. Because once they start hitting that big star feel, it's going to be great every single week. And, if he does this now, I'm sure WWE down the road is going to say, Dolph stuck it out. Dolph stayed with us. Dolph did as he is asked. And you know what? We trust Dolph. Let's put the title around Dolph again. Because you know what? He damn well deserves it. Just give it time, folks. It's only a matter of time. They're in a building stage right now. And with a building stage, it takes time and it takes commitment from all parties. Not just the young guys, but also from the experienced guys as well, too. Dolph is doing a fantastic job as an experienced guy. Therefore, wonderful to see him doing that. So yes, that was another one of the matches that we got to see, and then we got to see the Open Challenge. Yes, the new Face of America Open Challenge for the United States Championship, and I really don't know what to say here, guys. This is where one of the things that really took SmackDown a little off the rail for me. I mean, Owens comes out, cuts a great promo about how the other guys teamed up on him at Money in the Bank, which, in all fairness, that's the way it seemed. They really took it to Kevin Owens in that match. So, Kevin Owens' typical promo from him, and I hate to say typical in like a bad way. I mean, Kevin Owens can cut a great promo, and he cuts a great promo. Doing this open challenge, saying he'll challenge anyone from the city they were in. I believe it's Dayton, Ohio, but correct me if I'm wrong. So he makes that open challenge. AJ Styles comes out. Weird, because AJ's not from there. Kevin Owens points that out. AJ says, yeah, I'm not, but I know someone who is. And then American Alpha's music hits, and it's like, I don't think these guys are from there either. Like, what's going on here? Chad Gable comes out and says, oh, I just moved here. Well, hold on a second here. You just moved here. That doesn't mean you're from here. You don't just move to somewhere and suddenly it's like, oh, yeah, well, I'm here, so I'm from here now. It's like, that's not the way it works. If that's the way it works, then Brock Lesnar could actually legitimately call himself a Canadian, and there's not one Canadian alive that'd be proud to say that Brock Lesnar is an actual Canadian. So, and just in case on the slim chance, and I know he isn't, but if Brock Lesnar, if you're listening, get out of Canada. Anyways, moving on from that. So Owens challenges Gable, U.S. title on the line. Nothing much to note here. I mean, this is just, once again, Gable getting destroyed by Kevin Owens. It was a decent enough match. Nothing great, though. Nothing really to get excited about. I mean, if Owens keeps this open challenge going, would be interesting to see, but maybe they need to open this up and give it some better opportunity. Like, have him come out and say, okay, take on someone from the city that they're in. Well, then maybe find somebody that works in a promotion in that city. Like, find these indie guys that are working and looking for an opportunity to get some screen time. Yeah, they might not be a named person, but if Kevin Owens is issuing open challenges to guys that he can, plow through, and he's talking about how great of a champion it is that he's fighting week in and week out defending his title. Look at me, I've defended it this many times and not one person can truly step up. And then they're going to come to a city where somebody that can come out surprisingly, somebody that's like, oh shit, I forgot that they're on the roster and I forgot they're from this city, and then he gets a good challenge in there. He gets someone who can take him to the limit, and then we're going to get a solid match, and then Kevin Owens is going to look like that true badass champion that we've wanted him to look like when he was holding the Universal Championship. So, that being said, not a big fan of how this got off to a start with the whole Chad Gable thing. I think that they need to really look at Chad Gable and Jason Jordan and fix that problem immediately. Those are two talented individuals that are really getting buried at the moment. I mean, Jordan didn't even get to stay in the corner of Gable during this match. Like, he came out to kind of like, hey, wave to the crowd, I'm here, I showed up this week. guess I'm still around. This is nonsense. Either do something with them, repackage them, or give them back to NXT where you know that we're going to appreciate them a little bit better. Anyway, take a breath. So we're finding out backstage, a lot of backstage talk about next week on SmackDown. What's going on next week on SmackDown? Well, we know next week on SmackDown, first of all, there is going to be a rematch between Lana and Naomi for the Women's Championship. Presumably, anyway, Naomi said she'll give it to her, so I'm assuming that match is definitely going on. Then it looks like the Hype Bros are going to get a Tag Team Championship match next week against the Usos. I think I said earlier about how next week, it might be Uso versus Kofi kind of thing, but obviously not. This is not the case for next week. That will happen again, but next week the Hype Bros versus the Usos. Does anyone else see the Zack Ryder heel turn coming out of this? I see the Usos picking up the win, probably pinning Mojo Rawley in the process, and Zack Ryder is going to turn on him, which would be great for Zack Ryder. I think that guy deserves better than what he's getting. I mean, he has put in so much dedication and heart into the WWE. He loves being there. He loves being part of it. I mean, give the guy a break. He's been there for quite some time. Time to do something with the man. He is very talented. People love him. I mean, even if he does the heel turn, people are still going to enjoy his work. So yes, can see that coming next week. So so we got those two matches scheduled for next week, and again we will have one later, but we will get to that yet too. Just trying to see here in my notes if I missed anything match-wise from last night. I am not too sure if I did. You know what? I actually did. I apologize. But we will get to that because it comes at the very end of the night. So yes, we had Daniel Bryan coming out to make his final ruling regarding Money in the Bank. So he comes out and he calls out Carmella, and he calls out Natalya, he calls out Tamina, he calls out Charlotte, and he calls out Becky. Yes, so the Fab Five, the whining Fab Five come out, and of course at this point it's blatantly obvious that Daniel Bryan is going to do something that strips Carmella of the Money in the Bank briefcase, and of course that's what he did. First of all, this segment just irritated me to all holy hell, guys. This was frustrating as a fan to sit there and listen to this blatantly scripted, garbagely written promo. I mean, I'm so sick and tired of these whole oh, well, the first woman talks, and then it's like, no, shut up. Now it's my turn to talk. Oh, well, no, you shut up. Oh, no, you shut up. And it goes back and forth like that. Like, it's so easy to predict. They get only so much of a sentence in before the next woman's telling her to shut up and telling her to shut up. It just doesn't make sense. Nobody talks like that. So why is it that it gets scripted like that? It doesn't feel authentic. It doesn't feel real. And then it feels like there's no passion there. I mean, yes, there was a couple of good lines, like Charlotte telling Natalya that if she didn't shut her mouth, that she'd make her look like James Ellsworth. Quite a funny little line there. So a few things that were funny, but again, funny isn't gonna save atrociously bad. And this was atrociously bad, you guys. The whole time I'm just sitting there going, just get it over with. This is a dying horse. Take it out to pasture and shoot it already, because this is just awful. And not taking away from any of these women. They're very, very talented, very skilled. But, this is what you bring Daniel Bryan back for. All this time off, and he comes back to be a dick. I'm sorry. You guys can like Daniel Bryan all you want. And I am a fan of Daniel Bryan, the wrestler. But Daniel Bryan, the GM, is nothing but annoying. I mean, he doesn't even seem like a GM. He seems like exactly what he used to fight against, in a sense, only the opposite direction. So it's not really fair in that sense. how do I put this? When he was fighting against the Authority and they kept screwing him and turning things over and really making it so Daniel Bryan struggled, at least when you do it from the heel perspective, when the Authority is doing it to Daniel Bryan, the baby face, people can get behind them, and when they finally get that big win like Daniel Bryan did at WrestleMania, it's magical, it means something. But when the so-called nice guy, the guy who's supposed to do things fairly, comes out and he starts screwing over the heel characters and stuff like that, there's nothing to support there. It falls flat on its face. And so Daniel Bryan doing what he did last night, deciding to strip Carmella of the Money in the Bank ladder match and making another Money in the Bank ladder match for next week's like, oh, rewind, let's redo it because you a bunch of whiners online said we had to. This is stupid. This is so stupid. And it just felt boring. Daniel Bryan has become everything he used to fight against. Which, without him turning heel, he's the same character technically as he was when he was fighting the Authority. Now he is the Authority, and he's doing the same thing he used to do, only he's doing it to the heels. It's like, haha, well now I'm in charge, so I'll get to bully back. It's not how it works. Two wrongs don't make a right. Two wrongs don't make a right, Mr. Bryan. So if in case you're listening to this, which again I highly doubt that's ever going to be the case, because I maybe currently have about 20 people at best listening to this thing, and I tell you what, not one of them is an employee of WWE. But if any chance you ever listen to this, Daniel Bryan, stop being such a goddamn wino, okay? I don't want to support your crap anymore. I got behind you when you were being screwed, but now you're doing the screwing. So guess what, pal? Time to change it up a little bit. Be fair. Land of opportunity? I think not unless you're going to play things by the book. So, anyway, before I start rambling on about how annoying that part of the night was, let's get to the main event of Jinder Mahal versus Luke Harper. And here again, I have got some beef with this thing. Jesus Christ, this is just... Man, I don't even know where to begin. I'm going to tell you guys, first of all, I'm going to start off by saying I do not necessarily write these things out. I'm sure there is people out there that they will write out every single little bit of their podcast and everything. They've got all their jot notes. I make mini little notes. I just kind of wing these things, and a lot of time I don't even check my notes for that matter. So, with that being said, here is what I have to say about this last match of the night. Luke Harper, who we haven't seen in quite some time, who the fans really want to get behind, but has been absolutely buried since his singles run, comes out to fight Jinder Mahal. Fantastic. These two can put on a decent show, and they did for the most part. But where it went wrong, and it had nothing to do with Jinder or Luke Harper. Where it went wrong was Baron Corbin coming out to troll Jinder Mahal with the briefcase. Oh, I'm going to cash it in. Oh, I'm going to cash just like Carmella did on Sunday to Naomi. Now we've got the heel character doing it to the heel champion. What? Why is Corbin coming out to troll Jinder Mahal? First of all, that makes no sense whatsoever. And at the same time, if you're doing it because you want to make the champion look bad and frustrate him, then wouldn't it make sense if the distraction cost Jinder the match? I would think so, because at least then Jinder had something to be frustrated at Corbin for, which would make an interesting dynamic. Unfortunately, for whatever effed up reason, WWE thought, hey, we'll have him troll, and just like on Sunday between Naomi and Lana, we're still going to have the champion pick up the win. I don't like to see champions always losing non-title matches, but last night was a perfect opportunity for it to make sense. Harper taking a big win over Jinder Mahal because Baron Corbin trolls Mahal would have made more sense than Baron Corbin coming out, parading around with his freaking briefcase while Mahal watches him for 3 or 4 minutes. Meanwhile, then Luke Harper goes for his first move, basically misses, gets fucking... Oh, sorry for dropping the F-bomb there, but he gets knocked down by Mahal's finisher, and Mahal picks up the win anyway. I don't know. It seemed silly to me to do it that way. If you're going to book Corbin coming out, then what? I don't know. I think Corbin would have better been served up coming out and bragging about his win and getting himself into a feud with someone else at the moment, because we know that Corbin's not cashing in on Mahal. I highly doubt we're going to see Jinder Mahal lose that title to Baron Corbin. Baron Corbin will probably have that briefcase for a while yet, because I don't think immediate plans are for a Corbin WWE Championship run. Eventually, obviously, that very well could be happening and should be happening, because, he is a very talented individual and I'd like to see him get there. But what they did last night is like, man, what did they do? Swap the writers from Raw and SmackDown when they did the Superstar Shakeup? Because it certainly seems that way at the moment. The last few weeks of SmackDown for me have just been, they've been fine. I'm not complaining. I'm not one of these people that complains all the time, you guys. I love wrestling. I love watching it. I love the talent inside the ring. I prefer to watch wrestling matches than worry about too much storyline. Like, I like storyline, don't get me wrong. It makes the feuds more interesting. But I don't want to see these dragged out things for ages and ages that feel scripted and all this kind of stuff. I want to see passion. I want to see people get in there and really fight it out. I want to see something interesting, not this whole like, we're going to troll you, we're going to make you think we're going to cash in and stuff like that. I know Rollins did that a bunch when he had the briefcase, and others have done it too, but Rollins, it almost made a little bit more sense, and he wasn't always doing it. He wasn't doing it and costing, or what are the words I'm looking for? Sorry about this. I'm kind of flubbing on my own words here at the end of my own podcast, and I'm be damned if I'm going to turn this thing off and restart the whole damn thing when I'm 26 minutes in. But when Rollins did it, it made sense to Rollins' character. I mean, Corbin, on the other hand, he's Baron Corbin. He's a jerk. He's the guy that's backstage knocking guys down and hurting them and stuff like that. That's what Baron Corbin does. And for him to come out with a smirk and troll another heel character, it wasn't really fitting the Corbin character at the moment. And then, Jinder picking up the win over Harper anyway would have been interesting, I think. And then maybe Corbin could have come out later and after the match was done and teased it a little bit like he was going to do it, and then walk to the back, be like, nah, not going to do it tonight. But again, we don't need this. We don't need this tease going on, because we know it's not what's going to happen. WWE is not going to have Baron Corbin versus Jinder Mahal happening, because they're two heel characters and it makes no sense. You're not going to turn Baron Corbin into a face character right now, because that makes no sense. You're not going to turn Jinder Mahal into a face character right now, because that makes no sense. So we know they're not going to have Jinder Mahal versus Baron Corbin in the WWE title picture at the moment. So, with that said, don't troll us. We're smarter than that. We deserve better. Anyways, what did you guys think of SmackDown Live last night? Maybe you liked it more than I did. I was really not on board with it. Could be I had a bit of a bad day yesterday. I was kind of tired and exhausted. Maybe that played a little bit of a factor into it. So, hard to say exactly. But, I was not on board, was not a big fan. Thought Raw kicked the ass of SmackDown Live this week in a big way. And in fact, I think Raw's been kicking SmackDown Live's ass the last few weeks at least, and everything. So, yeah, there was way more talking points on Raw than what there was on SmackDown, and this was supposed to be the fallout from Money in the Bank. And then it seemed like it was more like one big promo to promote Money in the Bank Light, which is what we're getting next week on SmackDown. It seems like we're getting a bunch of rematches from Money in the Bank like we normally do the week after anyway. And it's just a rehash of it all. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if we get another Randy Orton Jinder Mahal thing. Well, maybe we did. Obviously, Randy Orton came out to make the attack after the match with Luke Harper there. Which again, like, do we need to keep this storyline going? Jinder's beat him twice. Why is Randy Orton still in that title picture? I know he's a former 13-time world champion, but sorry, Mr. 13-time world champion, you got beat twice. Usually that ends a feud right there. It doesn't mean that you get to keep challenging him for that title. It means that it's time for somebody else to step up to the plate. Right now, Orton, it's time for you to step on down and go off to something else. Anyway, that's all for me today, folks. Hope you enjoyed this. Show me some love, share, retweet. Feel free to subscribe to my YouTube channel as well too. Let me know in the comments section what you think. If you think I'm being too much of a dick, let me know. I want to hear from you. If you think that I sound amazing, well, then what the hell are you on? That being said, top guy out.